Sauvax, you are going to head into the city. That's right. So, Worram, first you went up to the landing platform with Captain Food to do some more mechanics on the Z95. So, you're going to give us a hard mechanics check to get those systems fired up and running smoothly, to see how the morning's work has gone, and then we'll actually get into the scene. All right.
And actually, I'm going to re-roll one of those green with my second chances. See if I can get.
Go for it.
2 advantage.
2 advantage. Okay. So after spending the morning working on the engines and flight systems of the fighter, you are finally successful in getting the systems to power up and running the engines up to speed, while still grounded, and doing all the pre-flight tests on the repulsor coils and whatnot, Worram. But we'll say that you're not actually you don't actually take off and fly the ship until the camera's in your hand,
Okay.
But you are successful in this morning's work, and whatever kind of sauce you want to put on it, please do now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I forgot I also get a free advantage from the goo gun, so I'm going to take that too for
Excellent.
fixing ships and stuff, so it's actually going to be 3. But
All right.
yeah, so I've been having a good day with food again, and I'm going to say for the 2 successes, I think I can decrease half the time.
Excellent.
Or something like that. So it's only taken us half the day to get this.
Yeah, it goes much quicker today.
We're more familiar with the system this time around. I've never worked on a Z95 specifically before, but now having yesterday's experience under a belt, where we're able to we know where everything is at, and we're not spending as much time poring over the schematics this time.
The goo gun is actually particularly handy for using solvent for a lot of. What's wrong with this is just that it's been sitting for so long that a lot of
it's
parts
just,
that
it hasn't been running forever.
Exactly.
It's like a car that's been, on its old battery for forever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we get it running, and we get it running pretty quick too. I'm gonna say so. If we can get it back down and kind of get back into it with the rest of the group, in the afternoon, if we choose to go that way.
You can indeed. So it's only a 1-seat fighter, but once the ship is purring there on the deck plates in the small hangar up at the landing platform, Captain Thude says, "I didn't think to ask Rathamith to come up with us, but I'm fine to head down on my own."
Do you mind if I get a feel for it? How she handles?
Of course, sir.
Yes.
You'll want as much time behind the stick as you can manage before the race.
Not to put you on the spot or anything, but does the ship have a name by any chance? Did he name it or anything, or anything?
He did not.
I just want to know if I should be referring it to as something.
It was a gift from Kolvar. I did not think of a name to give it, and
That's fine.
Thude didn't fly it ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll say no. It does have his name on it there, next to below the cockpit.
The actual ship itself. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to. I don't want to be insulting him by not addressing it properly.
No, definitely. I
know captains are particular about that kind of thing. So,
yeah,
as I would be.
It's not something that I thought of, but maybe before the race it will.
I'm going to take those 3 advantages as 2 boosts, and I'm going to try and show off a little, kind of put it through his
Hell
paces.
yeah, man. Absolutely. He's going to watch. So he's standing there.
Buzz the tower of
Hell yeah.
the expat club or something, see if I can rattle some windows.
Captain Thude stands at the entrance of the hangar to watch you take off, and then walks out across the landing bay to the edge so that he can look out over the bay and down towards Fishtown and watch. Absolutely.
You should buzz wherever Griff Halloran is currently working on his fighter.
So
The
the
hangar bay? Yeah, I like that. That's good, yeah.
So the
That's even
difficulty of this piloting check, Dan, is set by that formula based on how fast you want to be going, and then the
And how
silhouette
furious.
of the ship. So it's the silhouette halved is the upgrades, and then the difficulty is your speed. So
What is the max speed for this? Is it 4? I forget.
it has a high-powered turbine
Oh, that's right, it
output,
has a-
so it actually gets one better speed than it has, and the ship has its own.
Can you
The top
post that in
speed is
the,
5.
link? Can you post
I
the link
can.
actually so I can take
The
a look
top
at it
speed of 5.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, top speed of 5, silhouette 3, plus 1 handling, so you get a boost die to any piloting check that you make. It has 7 system strain and 9 hull trauma threshold.
Okay.
1 point of forward shielding, and 3 armor. It has a droid brain to handle its astrogation, but it does not have an astromech slot. But they know Sood can't do his own astrogation. He's not from the civilized galaxy. So it's got a really good GPS.
I'm not going to go full then. Let's do 4. Speed 4.
Okay.
That's still pretty quick to...
That's the max speed of a regular headhunter, so,
Yeah.
You don't do the nitro.
Yeah, I don't kick in the afterburner. Yeah, put in the knocks like they do on Fast and Furious, but I take it
Exactly.
up as far as it'll go.
True. God, look at all those boost dice. and
Yeah.
and he just threads the needle.
Yes.
You want to re-roll
Hey, that's
one of
all-
those? You want to re-roll one of those
oh, yeah,
only
sure.
advantage yellows to try to get a
Yeah,
triumph
sure.
instead?
All right, let's do it.
Nah. Okay, so
Nice.
you've got
Worse.
3
Okay.
advantages and
3
a
advantages.
success. So
Worram gets in the cockpit. You know, it's a tight fit with him being much bigger than its intended occupant. But he gets the windscreen dropped down over top of him. They've been working all morning, and the repulsors just fire right up, starting to purr. He, lifts off gradually, kind of wiggles his wings to food as he's exiting the hangar, and then he just rockets out of the airspace. He pushes it up to just shy of its max, but what would be max for a normal Z95, and there's just sheer, you can tell the sheer joy, he's out, where he's supposed to be again, and he just kind of pulls into a steep climb, and then barrels over and levels out again, turns it back around, so he's belly back towards the earth, and he head back towards the expat club, where you can see as he's coming in, Griff Halloran out on the yard working on his fighter, and he just brings it in low and tight to the ground, rockets past the windows of the expat club, all the stormtroopers down there, all shaking, as the afterburners kick in over top of them.
A couple of their buckets fall off.
Yeah. And same thing, he's he obviously wouldn't be able to see it, but you can see from the camera's perspective, Griff what the hell is that going past over top of his head, and rattles the frame of his ship as he goes past. So he kind of zooms off into the distance, and I have a talent called Quagrin Turn, so he pulls one of those, which is basically the I forget, but the one where you go up and backwards and flip over.
Nice.
And so yeah, does one of those, and he's
Beat
just
from the wind.
he's back in his element, kind of thing.
flip it around to bring it back in towards Fishtown, and then cut that throttle back so that the ship can land there. You see that Halloran, who is inside the hangar, working on his ship, as the tools started to vibrate around him and fall off of the airframe, has now come out of the main hangar doors, wiping his hands on an oily cloth, and is standing there in his sleeveless flight suit, watching as the Z95 comes down on its skids. A turtle-like Shalarian maintenance worker is very slowly walking out of the hangar with a pair of glowing wands to direct you back to your berth, Worram. And it's going to be an hour before Captain Food is able to join you via the gondola system.
A long way back.
Exactly. But you're back. Sauvax, you and Zeef both saw these acrobatics.
Yeah, you guys
Zeef,
remember you were like you saw this. If you were in
in
Fishtown.
Fishtown, yeah. And Sauvax, you saw this from the Escalade as
Be
you
fair
and
shit.
Junior are making your
Totally.
way
They don't know
out
it's
towards
the Blue Angels
the highway.
shit.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's enough that's probably going to be an episode, but it's early, so let's take a couple minutes and then I'm going to go to Narset here.
Cool.
And then we'll get back to the afternoon with Zavix's meetings and stuff. The camera's eye is going to move across the island over to Narset Jinn. She is waking up. It's the morning for her there at the outskirts of the tribal Sauvax village. She is within the walking crab of Kintera's exploration walker. You had a dream that, while it didn't really reveal any more information, at least has shown you that the troubles here are not new, but based on the conversation you had with the shaman, maybe just the Sauvax pace of things is such that, they've encountered a problem now, what to them is still within the same lifetime of this shaman, but which is 250 years later, so you've got that bit of perspective, on maybe where he's coming from, he was sort of unwilling to compromise with you, but you've now got that added bit of context that for him this is occurring on a much different time scale than it is from your outside perspective, which might be part of the problem. Kintera has not awoken before you this time, Narset. So why don't you let us know?
Outside or inside?
Which one's the big spoon?
That's my question, Or is she sleeping in a different bunk entirely?
Forget, did you say that Narset was inside or outside?
You're both in the walker. My question is, Kyle, actually. Yes, as you awake, are you the big spoon, the small spoon, or are you over in the fork slot of the
Say, technically it's not
instead?
spooning if you're just laying next to each other sideways.
That's some magic underwear shit. I don't know what that rule is.
You're just laying sideways, like
okay.
next to each other.
So you're edging. It's edging.
Right.
So
she's saying that Narset is a knife. Narset is a knife. However, in this circumstance, Kintera is still a spoon.
Even a knife's got a big old handle.
Yeah. Hey.
Definitely fell asleep
all right.
next to each other in the same space with like data pads scattered around them. Trying to research more of the island and thought share and such.
Absolutely. There are too many data pads on this sleeping bag for anything untoward to have happened in the night.
Set gets up, moves a blanket off of her, not to disturb Kintera, and then starts and turns on the coffee pot sort of thing, and then looks out the window, meditating on what this newest chapter of the vision has revealed to her. And then thinks back on the atmosphere of the volcano and the potential creature that was inside of it, and then comes to a course of action of who she will decide to check in with first, either the shaman or the chief, the second tribe's chief.
Right.
Yeah, the skinny crab, slender crab. Excellent. The smell of calf rouses Kintera behind you as you stand pondering your course of action for the morning. She eventually joins you there at the piloting compartment at the front of the walker with 2 mugs and hands you one and says,
I guess we're going back to the shaman today?
Narset smiles and looks down at the
Or back into the volcano?
a calf and then Kintera a hug.
She stands there and puts her arms around you as well and says,
I'd really rather not go back into that volcano.
Narset kind of like chuckles and says, funny you should say that, because I was curious if the next time we go in there, if you could do some environmental checks and stat checks on like some of the gases that were in there, what the safety of the integrity of the inside was, what some of the minerals we found in there were like. Because you're right, we were only able to spend so much time in there. So maybe if you have like some ventilators, personal ventilators on board, or like cough, flip a destiny point to see if there's cough environmental.
She's got all kinds of survival gear and stuff like that around.
So I'm sure. So yeah. So if we have some sort of like pyroclastic snorkel, that we can try to find. So I'm thinking, we can either talk to the shaman about the history of the mountain or history of the volcano, and sort of check bases on, hey, so I found this old Jedi declaration stating that they've talked to local species. Then we can, sort of explain that since it's been 200 years that the Jedi didn't really pay no mind to the note. So they may have seen reference to Selkaths in their library, but over time they unfortunately just lost track of their messaging. So hopefully there's some way to salvage a new Jedi and Selkath relationship.
Sauvax, right?
Sauvax.
I said Sarkath.
Yeah.
Selkath.
Yeah, Selkath are the guys from Manon.
Yeah. Try to improve Salvac relationships because, like, now it's a newer age. Now we got Bluetooth, and I'm obviously not going to forget you guys. So, they were using those Jedi were using typewriters, and we now have iPods. So maybe we can have a better relationship with the local crew. But I also want to know the history of the volcano, or we can go talk to the chieftain and be like, hey, we were exploring the volcano and came across this big ass creature. We would like to enlist the bravery of whatever warriors wish to test their strength and venture with us into the volcano. Tell us what you know of your volcano beasts.
Kintera processes all of this.
Shaman or enlist help from chieftain.
She says,
I think...
Snorkels.
Right. She goes,
I have all kinds of gear here in the walker. I'm sure I've got a rebreather if we need to go back into the volcano.
She says,
I'm more than a little worried about that creature from the other day, but talking to the chief, from what I know from speaking to Crab Drogo, I think you could make a good case to them to take some warriors in there and deal with their monster problem.
She goes,
I think talking to the chieftain is probably the most valuable from my own point of view thing you could be doing, because understanding the cultural differences between these Sauvax and the ones on the other side of the island is
help her
going to be the
instrumental.
Right. She goes,
from a xenosociological standpoint, we need to understand what are the differences between this tribe and the other tribe so that you can find a solution that will actually work for this tribe.
She goes,
well, their issue is the climb. They're differential.
Goes,
precisely. We know Crab Drogo's version, the climb.
She indicates one of the data slates that you were studying last night, which was a recording of Crab Drogo telling his tribe's version of the climb. She goes,
but maybe the story they tell here is different enough that that's the root of their problem.
She goes,
if the factoring is preventing them from making their climb, the only way you'll be able to satisfy them with an alternate solution is if we know what their requirements for a satisfactory climb are. I think we need to talk to the shaman about that. Find out what makes their myth different from the one that Crab Drogo is teaching.
So she's good with either
Who makes
of them,
money?
frankly.
Who
She
makes
goes,
money from the factory?
so the
hut compound.
She goes, the mining guild set it up
Us.
initially, but then the entire operation was taken over by the Hut cartel when the planet became part of their holding. She goes,
Vork the Hut has dominion over this planet, so any finances from the factory go into his clan's coffers. But our understanding is that most of their product is used in internal cartel dealings. This isn't so much a profit-gaining venture by the Huts as it is part of their own internal infrastructure. Interclan dealings.
this is a major fuel hub for Hut space.
That's why Worram is having such a hard time getting the order through, because he's not part of the cartel.
Right, it's not that they don't have the fuel to sell, it's that, we would have to delay a bunch of people's regular orders in order to give you all
contract
that.
out, the way I'm picturing it is that they've already, contracted out all the stuff, it's already earmarked for various, Hut groups, and,
It's like trying to buy your Coke from Pablo Escobar directly. He's like, I fucking give it to my people only.
I don't sell it. Yeah, I
only give it to
sell
my
this.
people, and you buy
There's
it from
no
them in
other
some street
volcano,
corner.
and there's no other volcano on Iceball doing this.
No,
thing.
this
It's
is
all
the only.
even if there
only
was, there's no
island that produces what they could factor in.
Even if there was another island producing it, there is no multi-million credit installation built there to harvest it.
To refine it,
So it has to be where the factory is. Even if there was another natural source, there's nothing to let you draw it from the earth.
No, but I think what Bendu was asking is why? What was it about this island that makes it both the site for this factory and also the island where the climb is happening? And that is a related answer.
I was going to try to see if we could convince the Huts to close the factory, and by saying that they would make more money putting their efforts into ship races, that they could close the gas station, but they ultimately need the gas station because it's in the middle of bumfuck nowhere,
and they're not in it for money with this particular venture.
And they need it because they need a fucking gas station. There's literally there's no way that I can convince them to get rid of the factory.
Why did they build this here? Because this is where the oil is at. Exactly.
Could you force move the oil?
Between the middle of fucking desert A to desert
That's where the oil is,
Exactly. You have to find another volcano that, through the unique geology of its makeup, is producing Clauson 36 as a waste gas.
Which is
pretty rare,
It'll take more Destiny points than we have.
Yeah, but no, these are exactly these are the the Sauvax here don't even have a point of view to understand that this is why their problem is. You know what I mean? Which is why it's this is a Jedi situation, because it's what kind of situation does a Jedi get called in when the causes are so different that only a Jedi could handle this, because it's interaction between three cultures that have completely different moral frameworks.
It's always super complex, super volatile, and super delicate. That's when the Jedi come in.
Or I was gonna say it wouldn't be until season 2 when we were already flying around places that it could be oh yeah, by the way, force flip, we found this fucking crater meteor thing. But hey, by the way, force points, we found this big ass asteroid that has volcanoes on it. You can go service your shit there and leave these Sauvax alone.
Here is a question for
that would be
Narset
some
to
season
consider.
2, season 3 shit.
Here is a question for Narset to consider, and that Kantera can frame to her. She can say, so what is it? She goes,
I understand that the factory is here because this volcano produces Clauson, but what was it about this volcano that made it the one they climbed?
I wonder, because there are other volcanoes on the planet, but this is the only one that's actually worth factoring. goes. That might be part of it, and
Oh,
that
there
might
are
be
other volcanoes.
there are other volcanoes.
This
but
is the only one
that
eligible
is-
for harvesting.
That exactly. Yeah. She goes,
Gotcha.
I don't think that's a question that the Sauvax necessarily might be able to answer, but they might have a part of it because they've been here longer than anyone else.
Gotcha. Okay.
you know, the shaman in this
Yeah, so
village
then
is
let-
older than the factory.
Those villages, so therefore saying that those villages have also been there longer than the factory, though.
Well, not the one in Fishtown.
No, because you said the crabs came up to, or the Sauvax came up to that particular beach and then just built first village.
That's what Crab Drogo's version of the climb said, at least. Yeah. She goes,
We should talk to the shaman.
right. You think we should talk to the shaman first?
she goes,
Then we'll start next session with the shaman.
we will. Excellent. Let's roll the obligation for next session before I forget. David, there isn't any.
Is it possible to hit you twice in a row with obligation, or does it always rotate among players?
I roll it. It is.
Oh,
a die roll.
so it could be me again.
There is a table that is made based on the obligations that everyone has that goes from 0 to 100, and I roll a number, and whatever it's 40. Okay, well from 0 up to 40, it lands.
You just happen to have more obligation than anyone else, so you
that's
help
true.
us out more often. So,
There I go, killing again.
yeah.
Obligation roll. Worram, it's you actually.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so Worram will be thinking about, okay, well, I'm flying this ship, but I'm not flying
Oh yeah,
my ship.
that's great. Yeah.
so euphoria gives way to ultimate homesickness. That's
Another
totally what
right,
happens.
Right,
Yeah,
he-
well,
he
he's
took
flying-
a bunch of
he's
steps
flying a ship.
sideways, not forward.
Yeah. He's happy to be up, but that's just a reminder.
Yet
that,
another distraction.
Yeah.
All right,
that works.
so there's no conflict rolling that needs to be done, but we are going to have David roll from our previous session because there was a bunch of conflict that he could have taken but didn't, because I made him deal with a bunch of frustrating shit that somebody could definitely have been like, no, I'm playing Darkside and I'm just going to fucking kill these people and take the conflict for it, and he didn't. And circumstances where you don't take conflict but could are still circumstances of conflict, so he's going to roll and subtract nothing from it because he didn't gain any conflict. And so he'll definitely go to the light side between 0 and 10 points because he's got nothing to subtract from it from not taking any conflict in the session.
Yeah.
So,
So 9 to the light. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
yep.
Nice.
So you go up 9 on the morality thing. Narset went past 70 last time,
No, she's
I
not yet.
believe.
No,
She's not. She's
still-
almost there. Okay.
She's 60 something, I think.
So Zavix goes up. I want to look at what Zavix is.
Narset is 64.
She's close.
She's 64. And Zavix is...
Is it out of 100? Or does
Yes.
It's a 0 to 100
Okay.
scale with 50
We're
the
at
middle.
54, so you'll be at 63 now.
Okay, so when you go above 70 or below 30, you're now on the light or on the dark side, and you get actual mechanical changes to your character when you go above 80 or below 20.
And it takes, and that's why you take strain to take the other side, right?
Mm-hmm. But
So
once
if you
you
go
go
onto the-
below 30, you're
it-
on the dark side,
and it takes
now
strain
you
to use the light.
dark side points. Exactly.
Cool.
And Destiny points. Yeah.
Whereas meanwhile, I just kill a bunch of people and it takes strain to do
But you
anything
take
at all because I have obligation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you take obligation for
instead.
killing, stormtroopers.
Right, you have to deal with the social impact of what happens.
So
they
I
have to
realized-
deal with the
I realized like 2 scenes
Metaphysical.
after I did it that I scratched Vork's symbol when I meant to scratch the Kakaro symbol into that chest plate.
you.
Oh, I thought
And
that
then
was
I-
on purpose.
No, I
I
misspoke, and then I doubled down and did it again, and I was like, "Well, fuck!" And then I thought
Right,
about it, and I was like,
because
"Well,
we
that's a
even
stupid
asked
ass Gungan thing to do, I guess." But yeah, I fully was not trying to be that dumb. I was meaning to.
Okay. I was like,
we were
shit.
like, why are
Kakaro
you
symbol.
fingering Vork
It's like
for
you're
this?
fingering you're getting the Kakaros against the ISB. and
not
now
on
you're getting
purpose. I was trying to
now
finger
you're
the
getting
other
the
guy.
cartel.
Well, you know what?
the
We
Imperial
can-
also. And that's why
We
I
don't-
said if you told Spider where you
Yeah, no, it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't make any fucking sense because that's not what I was trying to
Hey,
do.
listen, you
And
guys
my mouth was talking without my brain, and I said fork.
We have destiny points left over if you want to reverse
Actually, I wanted to
course
do
on
something
that.
too before we go.
In the dead of night, I go back over, cross out the Vork symbol, and scratch another one, and then jump away again.
Absolutely.
You left it in the middle of the street. There's no way that hasn't been found yet.
My timing was lucky.
That was holy.
What do you want to do, David? Absolutely.
Can I do just start a conversation with Junior, and then we can do this off camera, not like conversation, but like
Yeah, you've been talking with him,
on.
definitely.
Yeah, like the fact that he's shaken up a little bit after talking with Zeef, but maybe start negotiations and kind of add some blue bonuses to whenever I talk to Spider later when we're
good
working.
cop. Good cop, my bad
Yes,
cop.
you can get a
Do a charm
boost.
now, so he gets some boost later.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and roll a charm check now. Against, let's call it 3 purples because the guy is circumspect about all of this. You know, he himself is worried because, again, from what you gather from him is that the real source of nerves is the fact that like all of this shit is going down while Vork is off-world, like Zeef said, and like. Junior is not a big player in this, but he is still responsible, and like Spider is trying to handle this situation before Vork comes back. Zeef is very
his belt, man.
right.
That's what
Zeef is very good at what he does, and if Zeef would just fucking work with them on this,
They could take credit for the stuff I'm doing.
Well,
what's the difficulty?
Sure.
it's going to be hard.
Because I figured that's why
3
Spider and
purples.
Junior want me on the team is so they can report back to Vork and be like, yeah, we are taking care of all the problems.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah,
of
exactly.
Well, but
being
they're
like, well, this
trying to
guy's
give
doing
you-
it.
Well, they're trying to make you part of the organization, and then you would officially be getting credit for helping. They're definitely not going to give you credit while you remain a free agent. That's why they're also trying to be like, no, we got the guy in Fishtown. He's on the payroll now. We handled all this shit while you were gone. Like, you joining them is also another thing Vork wants them to get. You know what I like?
Right.
Be a feather in their cap. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the difficulty on it? For
3 purples.
perp.
Yep. The classic 3 purple difficulty roll.
To advantage.
Okay, so you did not succeed in calming him down, but you can have a blue boost die for your conversation with Spider.
I'll take it.
All right, man. We'll come back and start with Narset and then head to the fellas
Cool.
next time.
yeah.
It's good to see you guys again. Happy New
Definitely
Year to
delight me to
everybody.
see
Hey man, I'm glad you're feeling up to it.
First
Yeah.
session of the new year.
Likewise.
Woo!
Woo, 2021.
Do you,